Greetings. I am Aleshia Duncan, and I'm so glad to have the opportunity to chat with you today about an area that I have had many, many conversations with women around the world. I've mentored and worked with women in various settings, starting at the high school age, all the way through mid-career and C-suite as well. And one of the recurring themes I hear from them is their concern about having a lack of confidence. And as Nice Futures, one of its work streams in the Lane area is workforce capacity building and mentorship. I really think that this area is one of the soft skills that we don't talk enough about. There are many times where women have to show up for an issue, show up for themselves, show up for what's right, and even to show up for their own rights. Yet time and time again, women struggle with being able to stand up for themselves and stand up for the things that they're supposed to in their line of work. And as we look at the number of women that we're hoping to have enter the nuclear sector, I think it's critically important that not only nuclear, but all energy sectors really think about how we are working with women to increase their confidence. It may seem like a simple thing that people take for granted, but really it's not. So I wanted to share some things with you today about a journey through confidence, the fact that it always needs work, and what it really is built on. So if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you a story about a young girl growing up in inner city of Southeast DC. And I was always a big girl. I'm probably the same size I was now in about fifth or sixth grade. So I was teased all the time. And you can imagine I didn't have much confidence. I was also very sensitive. So oftentimes, if I was teased, that would often lead to tears. But I grew up in the inner city, which is a tough place to be. So therefore, you have to learn quickly that you either learn how to handle it in yourself, or you will always be a victim of people's teasing and people's thoughts about you, etc. So while I started off on a very tear-filled path, I made a journey and commitment to myself that I had to figure out what would work for me, because spending my time each day in tears is not the vision I had for my life. And I'll come back to this vision later on in my talk, but this is really about the vision you have for your life, because the only one who's going to be able to feed into that is you. So we know that people will always have things that are sometimes mean, sometimes inappropriate, sometimes not helpful to say, but we have to learn early on to arm ourselves. So young Aleshia started upon a journey to build her own confidence. And that required a lot of self-reflection about who I was at the time, who I wanted to be, and what it would take for me to get there. And that's quite a lot for a little girl to be thinking about as she was growing up. But for me, it was quite a necessity, because even at a young age, the world was moving fast for me. I was already thrown into, what do I want to be when I grow up? What do I want to study in high school and college? What do I want to do to make money? How do I want my quality of life to be? Do I want to have a family? All these questions were swirling in my mind. But one thing I had to remember through all of it is that I had to figure out who I am and commit to that, and know that in an ever-changing world, I had to stand solid in who I am. And that really became the basis, the foundation of me beginning to grow my confidence. Because the more I focused on who I am, the more committed I came to making decisions that would feed into that bigger picture. I knew from an early age I wanted to work in international, and therefore I began to study international culture, specifically the French culture. I studied a lot of the French language and did so all the way up through high school and then minored in it in college. And eventually I got to live in France and work for the Nuclear Energy Agency. And during all of that time, as my life took different twists and turns, and I was faced with many decisions, the one thing that I held on to is what I wanted to become. Now, mind you, as you consider that, regardless of what space you're in your life, whether you're a young high school girl, a mid-career professional, or even a C-suite executive, we know that we will be growing until the day we take our final breath. And therefore, we know that we will evolve with all the knowledge that we gain, the experiences that we have, and the decisions that we make that may or may not work out for us. But I want you to think about the fact that your confidence has a direct correlation in the trust that you have in yourself. And the way that we've seen people build trust is that they are consistent, that they are a man or woman of their word, and that they demonstrate the talk by walking the walk. So that means as you think about yourself and gaining your own trust in yourself, that you will need to commit to some things. You will need to understand early on that confidence is one of the things that is built and based on resilience, because you're not going to always succeed. And part of the learning and part of the fortifying that you're going to do is that you're going to fail and you're going to get back up and start again. We're going to use failure as lessons learned for improvement. We're going to use failure as lessons learned to provide us information and data. And most importantly, we're going to use failure as the impetus to try and try and try again so that we can continue on a path of success. And that will be our recipe for gaining confidence, because we want to be able to trust ourselves. We want to be able to trust our abilities. We want to be able to trust our intuition. And we want to be able to, most importantly, know that we can do it. Oftentimes, people have looked for affirmations from every possible source. Now, even social media seems to be a source of affirmation. We ask our families, we ask our friends, we ask our partners, we ask our bosses, we ask our coworkers, we ask strangers on the street. And it looks like we believe what those people think of us sometimes more than what we think of ourselves. So when we think about building confidence, we really must recognize the source, and the source is ourselves. So here today, as I have reflected with you on how we make this journey together, because it will be a journey, you're going to learn new things about yourselves. Your vision for your life may change. Experience that you have may teach you new things that cause you to want to do or be different, and that's okay. But where we must continue to strive is that we trust ourselves. And I know that probably is the hardest thing for us to do, because we will put our trust in someone else before we trust ourselves. I can't stress it enough, but constantly, if you are to give yourself grace for all the times you didn't make the right decision, for all the times you did not say the right thing, and for all the times you made a mistake, knowing that there's so many times that you were successful that you haven't even bothered to acknowledge. So as we look to build a workforce and energy, because we will need all sources, not just nuclear, as we look to build a workforce and energy, and of course, nuclear, we want to make sure that we are bringing in women and encouraging young girls to really hone in on their source, to build constantly their confidence, to keep other women around them lifted the same, and to build a tribe with like-minded women, and to make sure that we put our trust in ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we're all we've got. And we've got a big task for us out here before us with the advanced technologies that will come online, with the nuclear policies that need to support deployment and R&D, and with all of the various international policies that we're going to have to work together to make sure that when we bring these technologies online, that not only can they talk to each other, but the policies that we all need to support financing, regulatory matters, safety, non-proliferation, that they're all talking to each other. So we need you. We need you to show up. We need you to show up for all of these wonderful work that we are going to do together. And most importantly, we want you to come to this space confident and ready to be a part of the solution. On behalf of the United States Nice Future team, I'm so grateful that you took the time to listen today, and I look forward to seeing you and many other women around the world as we tackle these challenges together. Thank you.